Hi everyone. Looks like I'm finally live. My name is Rose Trafford. I am the program director for LE Mongolia. So sorry to anybody that wanted to be here an hour ago. We were having technical difficulties. But now we're on live, and for anyone that's going to watch this later, it won't matter anyway. So I'm here to talk a little bit more about LE Mongolia, and just to start at the very, very basics for anybody who doesn't know about LE Learning Enterprises, it's a completely student and volunteer run organization. So everybody that is working for LE as a program director or as a campus director or any of those positions, they are all alumni of LE. So they have all done some LE program and they have their own experience with the organization, which makes us very unique and special, which is really cool. Obviously, secondly, if you're interested in LE, you probably already know that we don't have any program fees. Our organization is an even exchange. So we pay for ourselves to get there. So you have to pay for your plane ticket, of course. We pay for ourselves to get there. And then once we're there, we're hosted by families that live in country. And we provide the English lessons, and they get the experience. And of course, we also get an amazing experience of teaching and cross-cultural exchange, etc. So I'll just be frank at the beginning. I want to tell you guys that I did not do LE Mongolia. I actually did LE China back in 2011. I had just graduated from Arcadia University, which is in Philadelphia, and I found out about LE through a friend, and I thought this is amazing, and ended up going to China, and it was an amazing experience for me. It was my first time in Asia, and I really loved it. Since then, I've been back to Asia twice, and one of those times was I spent a year teaching in Korea, and then I also spent a few months in Southeast Asia, Thailand, Cambodia, Malaysia, Singapore. But just showing how LE can be such a great stepping stone and can really spring you into something else that you didn't realize that you wanted to do or you had a passion for. So a little bit more about LE Mongolia specifically. I will share my screen with you guys right now so we can look at the program itself. So just a second. Okay, so this is the LE Mongolia page. If you're interested in the program, you may have already seen this page. First thing that I want to point out is that our program dates have actually changed a little bit. So it says here that the program dates are beginning on June 3rd and 4th. They're actually beginning a week later on June 10th. And they're still ending at the same time, July 9th. So this is because these dates are too early for any of our prospective European university applicants. So we made the program 1 week later, and it ends up being 1 week shorter for some reasons that I'll discuss later. So we have our orientation in the capital, Ulaanbaatar, and then a midpoint break, and then a closing session with 4 weeks of teaching. So the ideal volunteer, flexible, definitely this is key. Things can change at the drop of a hat. Actually, one of my interesting experiences with LE in China is when we got there. I think this was a very rare experience, but when we got there, a few days or maybe a week, I don't remember, the in-country coordinator told us this is going to be a 4-week program, not a 5-week program. Okay, so it was going to be 1 week shorter. So that's kind of a drastic example, but just to know you have to be prepared for anything. Independent. Everyone will have their own class in LE Mongolia. There won't be any teaching partners. Of course, you can use other volunteers for resources and ideas as well as myself, but you'll be on your own as far as having your own class. Mongolian students, we have a lot of students who really care about getting better in English so that they can do better on the TOEFL exam, etc., and others that just really want to have fun. So you have a variety in your classroom. Open to new experiences. Our host families in Mongolia are awesome, and many of them really want to take volunteers to different places, show them different parts of the country that are special to them or they care about or are culturally significant. So be aware that that may happen, and it's very, very cool. This says volunteers are encouraged to familiarize themselves with STEM subjects, SAT and TOEFL. So a lot of the students are going to be studying for the TOEFL exam. For those of you who don't know, it's the teaching of, test of English for foreign learners. So it's a really difficult test. It basically allows you to study or work in an English-speaking country once you take it. This is our 6th year of LE Mongolia. This basically just talks about when you come in, we'll meet your host family, we'll have an orientation, 2 weeks, then we have a midpoint break, which will be in a ger camp, which is the Mongolian tents, homes that are really cool. So I'll show you pictures of those later. The closing session will be on July 9th. And actually, another thing that I want to point out is the potential for staying afterwards for the Nadam Festival, which is a very cool thing that I'll get back to later. Our host community will be in the capital city of Ulaanbaatar. Our students will range from elementary school to high school, but most of our students will be between the ages of 12 and 16. So just be aware of that. They'll have a varied level of English, but most of them will have some sort of foundation, like they'll definitely be familiar with the alphabet and be somewhat conversational, and maybe not like vocally, but at least on paper, they'll know a lot of vocabulary words, etc. We're going to be located at the Sant School or school number 1. So these are private, not-for-profit schools. A lot of the students are on scholarships. And school number 1 is the oldest public school in Ulaanbaatar, which is kind of cool. So that's the summation of the program, just really briefly from the webpage. Hopefully you've looked at it, but just in case you haven't. So for a budget, that's probably going to be interesting if you want to go. The biggest thing is going to be airfare. $2,250, that is a kind of a high estimate, and I will definitely help people buy tickets. I've actually noticed that if you buy a ticket from the US or Europe to Beijing and then buy a separate round trip ticket from Beijing to Ulaanbaatar, it's actually cheaper. Then accommodation for the first orientation, just $10 to $30 per night, no big deal. Meals, some smaller transportation, maybe some taxi fares, and supplies for your teaching. So that could be paper, pens, crayons, pencils, whatever you think that you might need, stickers maybe even, although our students are kind of old for that. In-village expenses, basically just some backup money. Your food will be prepared and already taken care of. And then midpoint break, we are going to be traveling to a ger camp that might be a little bit higher than this, but we'll see. Cell phone, we strongly encourage volunteers to have cell phones just so that everybody is able to reach out to someone else if need be, so you have that available to you. This is our Mongolia Addendum. So, if it will load, we can go through that. It's being a little slow. So I'll go back to you guys and so you can see me again and go over some other things. Okay, so some things that, it looks like there's a lag. There we go, that's better. Some things that are unique to the Mongolia program is that we have older students, 12 to 16, who have an established background in English. We are in a city. We are not in a rural area. You'll be living in an apartment with a host family. Ulaanbaatar has approximately 3 million people, which is about half of Mongolia's population. You'll have your own classroom, which is normal, 25 to 30 people, mostly in school. There might be some opportunity for some smaller adult classes later in the evening. Another thing we really encourage volunteers to do with LE is to reach out in other ways besides just teaching English. So maybe you have a group of students that really love soccer. So you decide, I'm going to get together with these students twice a week or something like that. We're going to play soccer together. We're going to have like a mini soccer camp, whoever wants to play. Or maybe you have some students that are interested in learning another language and they find out that you speak French, or maybe you speak Hindi or something like that. And you can teach them even something else. Or maybe some students might be interested in art. You could do some painting with them. Maybe you could just go hiking with some of your students on the weekend. Or people in your host family, maybe their kids with their kids as friends, something like that. So we really encourage volunteers to reach out to the community in other ways besides just the teaching of English, which of course is why we're going. But we really want to benefit the community, not just like come, teach, leave. So we really want to make a lasting impact as much as we can for being there for only 4 weeks. Another option that makes Mongolia a really fun thing or program to choose for LE is the Nadam Festival. So the Nadam Festival is at the end of our program. It starts the 11th, I believe, and we end the 9th. That's the reason that we can't extend our program later. So the Nadam Festival is actually called like the second Olympics. It is a festival of 3 different sports: horse racing, archery, and wrestling. And I pulled up some photos to show you. It's really cool. I'm really excited about it. So it's an option for students to stay in Mongolia with their host families if they'd like. So here are some photos. So you can see they are going all out. So here we have some wrestlers. Oops. We have these amazing, amazing cultural outfits. Huge, just huge fields of people celebrating and doing the different sports and dancing, a lot of traditional dress. So it's a very, very cool time. And if you come to Mongolia, you can stay and see this afterwards. So just a really fun cultural experience. Just a little bit about Ulaanbaatar itself. Ulaanbaatar is here in Mongolia, and here's a river, and you can see all around it is deserts and mountains. So that's what it's surrounded by. You've got cool old temples, and this is the traditional tents that I had mentioned earlier. The gers are also called yurts. There's a lot of them on the outsides of Mongolia. Here we have some livestock. Of course, cashmere is very popular in Mongolia. You can see the industrial area and all of these tents that are on the outside of the city. Some parliament building. This is another one from the Nadam Festival. More of the festival. It's a very modern city in many ways. You can see here. This looks like a scene that could be at any college campus in the United States. Very bustling major city. Lots of cool stuff. So here is the addendum pulled up. So I can go over a few things here as well. Starts out with a letter from Ashley, who is our Executive Director of Programming. Oh dear, if this is going to be this slow, I probably will just nutshell version. And now I expect you to wait for a slow loading process. There was a picture up there of Inky, who is our in-country coordinator. Oh, here you can see a photo from past volunteers. Mongolia, this would be the 6th year of the Mongolia program. Let's see. I think I'm going to skip this because it's being really slow, and I'm going to put it back on me so you guys don't get bored out of your minds. Let's see here. Okay. Awesome. So we've covered kind of a little bit about Mongolia, a little bit about the program history is 6 years. We also have, oh, Ashley told me I could download it. I probably should have done that to begin with. Let's see here. I guess that's mostly it. If anyone has any questions. If there's any questions out there at all. Let's see, some of the questions that volunteers have asked me as I've done interviews are, let's see, we have a couple of people who are vegetarian that have applied, and I just want to get it out there that it's very difficult for vegetarians in Mongolia because their diet mostly consists of meat and carbs, and vegetables are quite expensive. So if you are like a diehard vegetarian, it's not impossible, but it would be pretty difficult, just so that people can be aware of that. Some other questions people have asked are if they would have, what kind of things that they would have in their classrooms. So the classrooms would be somewhat modern. You'll probably have a board and markers, and the students will have paper and pencil, that sort of thing. You will probably have access to a printer, but probably not Wi-Fi unless you like really, really need it. Most of the homes will be relatively modern, but you just never know. The host families are never the same, exactly the same every year. Some of the host families want to do it again. Other ones are brand new. So it'll be relatively modern, but not super modern like what you have at home. Just something to be aware of. Let's see. I don't know if there's anything else I'm forgetting. I don't see any questions coming in. So the kind of volunteer I'm looking for Mongolia, I'm looking for someone that's really open-minded. I'm looking for someone that can be a leader, but that can also take direction. I'm looking for people that are flexible if plans change, if things don't work out, to have something that you can just pull out and do would be amazing. I'm looking for people with a lot of energy and people who are able to like kind of keep their cool in maybe an overwhelming situation. I currently have 4 people on the Mongolian team. We're looking for maybe 2 or 3 more. So that's what's available right now. The optimal program amount is about 3 to 6 people. That's kind of what it's been like in the past few years. We have the 2 schools that LE Mongolia has a relationship with, and it hasn't, like, that's just kind of good for them because there are other English programs as well in Mongolia and over the summer in the capital city. So we just are sticking with what they want us to do there, which is about 3 to 6 volunteers, about 3 to 6 classrooms with about 20 to 30 students per classroom. So if you think that's you, please apply. Please apply. I don't know if I'm missing anything. We can go back to the addendum and see if there's anything I missed. I should have downloaded it beforehand. Let's see what we have now. Oh, weather, that could be something good to go over. It's going to be summer, obviously, but it's not going to be as summery as many places in the US and Europe. You're looking at maybe 20 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. So nice, but not too hot, which for me I love, so that's ideal. Um, There are no really safety concerns in Mongolia. It's a very safe country. They are going to have an election this year, which is really exciting because I think it's only their 5th election since they've been separated from the USSR. So that's exciting for them, but it's not going to look like it's going to be any sort of dangerous thing. So Mongolia is a very safe place. They speak Mongolian there, which uses the Cyrillic alphabet, just another fun fact. And we have more Buddhists than any other in the country. So that is all that I can think of. I hope that this was informative and enjoyable. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me at mongolia@learningenterprises.org. I'm just looking to think if there's anything else. I do want to say one more thing about my own experience with learning enterprises. So I told you already that I went to China, and 2 of the teachers that I worked with in China, the Chinese teachers, I'm still in touch with. One of them I just saw last summer actually in Minneapolis, which was really cool. She was there for an internship. So when you go to a country with an LE program, you're definitely not just teaching. You are making amazing relationships. I know people that still communicate with their host families, that go back and visit their host families, who stay on as program directors also because they loved their program so much. They loved the community. So it really is an amazing experience. I encourage you to really, really think about it. Just go for it. It's awesome, and we have lots of amazing programs available. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. My email is mongolia@learningenterprises.org. If you have any questions for me or any of the other program directors, of course, just reach out to us. And thanks so much. Bye.